Chapter 5 The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Every day I learned something new about his planet and how he had left it and the journey he had undertaken. All this information came in dribs and drabs by chance as thoughts came to him. This was how, on the third day after we met, I heard about the terrible Baobab saga. This time again, it was all because of the sheep, in a way. The little prince seemed suddenly overwhelmed by some dreadful anxiety. "Are you sure that sheep do eat little bushes?" "Yes," I told him, "quite sure." "Good, I'm happy then." I did not understand at all why it was so important to him that a sheep should eat little bushes. But then, still rather worried, he added, "So they must also eat baobabs." I then had to tell the little prince the baobabs were not little bushes, that they were huge trees as tall as a church tower, and that even if he took with him an entire herd of elephants, they would not manage between them to eat up a single baobab. The idea of a troop of elephants clearly amused the little prince. "You'd have to stand them one on top of the other," he laughed. But then, more thoughtfully, he said, "Baobabs, before they grow big, always begin by being small." "Of course, but I don't quite understand why you should want your sheep to eat baobabs when they are small." "Really? You don't know?" he said, as if it was obvious. I tried very hard to work it out for myself, and it was not at all easy. Anyway, it seems that on the little prince's planet, as on all planets, there were good plants and bad plants. And so, of course, there were good seeds from the good plants, and bad seeds from the bad plants. But seeds are invisible. They lie dormant, hidden deep in the dark of the earth, until one of them has the notion it would be a good idea to wake up. This little seed will first have a stretch, then grow slowly, ever so slowly, up towards the sunlight, until at last there it is, a sweet little innocuous twig of a plant. If it is the first shoot on a radish, perhaps, or the early sprig of a rose, then it can be left to grow on as it wishes. But if this is a bad plant, you should pull it up at once the moment you recognize it for what it is. Now, there were some terrible seeds hiding away in the earth on the planet of the little prince. And these were the seeds of the baobab tree. All over the planet, the soil was infested with them. And with a baobab, if you don't deal with it at once, if you leave it too late, you will never, ever be able to get rid of it. It will take over the entire planet, perforate it with the roots. And if the planet is too small, which it is, and if there are too many baobabs, they will overwhelm and destroy the planet. And that would be that. It's just a question of self-discipline, the little prince explained later. First thing in the morning, you look after yourself, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, don't you? Well, the second thing you must do is look after the planet. You pull up all the little baobabs just as soon as you can tell the difference between them, and the little rose bushes, which look a lot like them when they are very young. It's easy enough work, even if it is rather boring. And then one day he said to me, "I think you ought to make a beautiful drawing for the children where you come from, so they can understand all about this. If ever they were to go off on their travels, it might prove very useful to them. There's sometimes no harm in putting off till tomorrow what should be done today, but when it comes to baobabs, any delay at all is always disastrous. I once knew a planet where there lived the laziest man you could ever imagine. He just couldn't be bothered to dig up 3 little baobab bushes. It did not end well for him, nor his planet. So just as the little prince had asked, I made a drawing of that planet. I don't like to be didactic or moralistic, but I could see the dangers posed by the baobabs are hardly known. And anyway, the risks taken by anyone venturing into an asteroid are so dangerous that I decided just for once that I should set aside my usual inclinations and tell it loud and clear. Children, look out for baobabs." I worked so hard on this drawing in order to warn my friends of the grave danger they had been facing for so long, and like myself, without even knowing it, I had to tell them, to warn them. You might well be wondering why there aren't any more big drawings of baobab trees like this in the book. Well, the answer is simple enough. I did try, but I just couldn't do another one. I think I could only draw a baobab tree when I needed to, when it really mattered. Baobab trees are a serious matter.